Hello and welcome everybody to the first part of this DJing tutorial series. So today is going to be the first part, and we're just going to be going over all the basics and what everything is in the DJing. So I guess we'll just jump straight in. So first of all, today in my setup I am using a Denon MCX 8000 unit, which is a 4-channel Serato DJ controller. It's also just a fully fledged 4-channel standalone mixer with 2 separate effects units if you want to use them. But today I'm just going to be using it as a standalone, like basically like 2 CDJs and a 2-channel mixer, in something that is exclusive to itself is engine mode, which is basically just running off this USB stick here. And yeah, so let's just jump right into it. So with DJing, the main purpose of the art is to have basically fundamentally 2 separate tracks playing, and to mix and merge and swap between the 2 of them seamlessly without your audience knowing. Now there's 2 fundamental main parts of a DJ setup. You have the mixer in the middle here, which allows you to fade in and out new tracks using these faders here, or swap between them seamlessly using this crossfader here. And you can assign each channel to whichever side of the crossfader, so such as channel 1 and 2 here I have assigned to the left hand side, and 2 and 4 I have assigned to the right. So whenever this is on the right, it's playing these 2 channels, and whenever this is on the left, it's playing these 2 channels. Now at the minute we're only going to be using these first 2 channels here, as in this current mode, just running off the USB stick on its own, it only runs 2 channels. So yeah, let's jump into it. Okay, so these are the players, which are the other main part of the DJ setup, and this is fundamentally, let me get a close up here. So this here is the player, and the whole unit here, which has got all the buttons that you'll need to play and manipulate your music just on this side here. Ignore these pads for a minute. It's got a cue, which allows you to set a point and temporarily play the track while you hold down that button. The play and pause, which is allows you to start and stop the track from whichever point you are. This is the jog wheel, which allows you to move throughout the track, and using the outside of the wheel like this on, as far as I'm aware, on all controllers, allows you to move forwards and backwards within the track while it's playing, so speeding up and speeding down to sync between the 2 tracks, and that's how it works. Some controllers or standalone players, such as the Pioneer CDJ 2000 Nexus, have got this here, which is this is actually a magnetic touch strip, which allows you to move between certain points in the track when it is not playing. So while the track is on pause, or if you say have your hand on the deck like this, you can use your other finger to skip through the track. So these parts here, these are your screens, which will allow you to see the track that you're playing and where you are within it. And that's really important because it allows you to see the waveform of the track, where the beats are, and where you want to be placing it and matching it between your 2 tracks. So, and also this here on the left, which although it may look like a volume fader, is actually very, very different from a volume fader. And rather than controlling how loud the track is, like these do in the mixer section here, which controls how the track sounds, whereas the player controls how the track is playing and what's happening to it, this here actually manipulates the pitch and speed of the track. So if you have 2 tracks that aren't the same speed, but you still want to mix them, say this one here is 128 BPM and this one here is 126 BPM, you would say speed up this side by about 1.8%, which your player will tell you, your percentage usually, and you can match the pitches so that they're playing at the same speed, so you can mix them perfectly. Now this button here, which as far as I'm aware most software-based controllers utilize, but don't necessarily have a hardware button for, is a key lock. Now this, I believe on other players it's called master tempo, and this essentially locks the pitch of the track that you're playing to the same key that it's in permanently at the start, but alters it keeps the pitch the same whilst altering the speed. So let me give you a quick demonstration of that now. If I just hop into a track. So this is a track by Denon called Get Low, which I'm sure many of you will know. So basically, as you can see here, I'm just using the jog wheel to move backwards and forwards throughout the track. So I'll set the Q by pressing this button, which is the Q button, and as you can see with this Q button, when I hold it down, the track plays, and when I let go of it, the track stops, whereas the play button will just keep playing. So putting the track back to the queue, this function here on the left, which is the loop function, this is set to the beats that you have. So this particular track is at 101 BPM, and this will allow you to loop it, say 4 beats here as I've got it set. So, and that will just keep it in that loop, and you can vary the length of that, so it can be a really long loop, a really short loop if you want like a nice build up, and you can shorten the length of the loop as you're building up, but we'll get into that into another video. And yeah, so using this volume pitch slider on the side, if I want to mix into a track at say 110 BPM, I'll need to alter the range of that. So if I take this up to 110 BPM like this, which it says here, 110 BPM, I can then play it, and that will be at 110 beats per minute. So I can then mix that into another track at that tempo. However, as you can hear the song, it's at a very different pitch than it was with the original. The clicks in the background are a very different, noticeable difference of a key. So what we're going to want to do there is press this key lock function here and bring it back up to the original tempo, the new tempo of 110, and then when we cue it, it's at the same speed that we wanted it at 110, but the key is the same as the original. And this is a very useful feature which can be utilized, which not many people actually use. Some people play with the master tempo off. Now another button is this button here, which is sync. Okay. Now this will automatically do this pitch adjustment for you whenever you load a new track. So if I leave this at 110 BPM, and then I choose another track, which could be, let me demonstrate for you now. So I chose another track that was at 128 BPM, and as soon as I've pressed the sync button on this side here, it has gone up to 110 BPM as shown in the denoted here, and that essentially removes any need for the pitch slider on one side of the player. You can still set whatever tempo you want for the sync to do. So as you can see, whenever I move this pitch slider on the left, which is the master tempo, it's changing this tempo on the left and changing this tempo on the right. But yeah, this key lock is on both of them, so it will not alter the pitch, just the speed. And as you can see, this one on the right here, this pitch fader does nothing when it's in sync. I personally play with the sync off because I believe it removes a lot of the skill, but if you're just learning and just starting out in DJing, which I'm assume you are by watching these videos, then the sync function is a very good way to get a grips of the understanding of the whole DJing. Now, these pads, which are coming onto a lot of players currently, which is pretty much all of the Pioneer pads, Pioneer controllers have pads now, These have many different assignable functions, lots of which are just purely software based. This particular player has quite hardware functions along with the new Denon Prime stuff that's just come out. The proper top-end Pioneer CDJs, actually the 2000 Nexus, have the same functions as these, but they are not pads, they are tactile buttons on the side. Now these pads are very useful if you like to set lots of cues. Now these are the same as these cues, however they are lots of them and you can assign them to particular points. So I'll say set 1 here, and then as I play the track, and then you can almost play it like a drum pad, like a MPC or something. And it will skip between these points in the track. I'm obviously not very good at that massively, but another function is this roll function. Now it does the same sort of thing as the loop, however, when you do it, for that amount of time that you hold down this roll function, it loops that particular part of the track while the rest of the track carries on playing. So you can have short drum loops which are looped, and you can have these like that, like I was showing earlier. And you can have different lengths, so this is 1/8, 1/4, half, and 1 beat. But they're assignable, so you can change the length of them in your software. This is a slicer, which I personally never use. I'm not very good at it. But this sets a loop of 4 beats, or you can have different assignable lengths of the loop. And you can see that this light follows whatever beat, and you can use this to jump between the beats during the thing while the track carries on playing. And those are the 3 main features that you'll come across with these pads. And that particular feature, which I was mentioning earlier, which where you do a certain effect or something like that, or you set a cue, or you jump between a cue, or anything like that, is known as the slip function. Now that can be turned on permanently here. There's a button that you'll find around your controller somewhere called the slip function, and that will allow you to do things like that and move within the track while the rest of the track keeps playing. You can even stop the track. So I've got this knob here, which isn't on all players, which is the stop time, which when if I turn the slip off just to demonstrate this feature, which essentially does a vinyl break and slows down the track until it stops, and that's a variable length. And when I have the slip function on, when I do that, the track actually carries on. The track carries on underneath on a separate layer. So whatever you do to the track in moving it will not alter it. And this is the same with scratching or anything like that. So if I turn on the slip again, as you can see, as I pull back the track, it carries on playing. It doesn't go from the point where it left off. So it carries on essentially as if the track was unmanipulated at all. And that is most of the main features of the player itself. Now, some particular players, on this one it's in the player, on most others it's built into the mixer in a unit on this side here, have effects. So this one on its hardware comes with 3 built-in effects. On most, you'll see on most controllers, like the Pioneer controllers, which most of you will use or have, the effects knobs will be somewhere around about here. Most don't have a screen, but there will be knobs like this here, and you can adjust the depth of the effect, how long it lasts, like how many beats it lasts, and essentially many different things like the different type of effect, and yeah, it just adds an extra dimension to whatever you're using. So here I've added an echo of 1 beat, so it's basically adding it's echoing the sound, but it's holding that for 1 beat, so I can turn it down to half a beat, 1/4, 8th, 16th, and 1/32 to basically just add another dimension to the mix. So I'm going to leave it there before the video gets too long, but in the next video we'll move on to the full intricacies and details of the mixer section in the middle, and how that all works and how it's involved in the mix. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and I hope you've learned something. So please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment on how you think, and be sure to stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you very much.